time is it? Test, test. Can you hear me? Can you hear me over there? Okay, good. We'll wait another couple minutes because it's just not quite 3. So they heard all my jokes already. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, right. So. You tell me when to start, Patty. 1 minute, okay. We still got a couple people coming. There's still a few seats up here. Catholics can't sit up here in the front row. They never sit in the front.
We are streaming and recording.
Uh-oh. You're what? You're streaming? You're like?
You'll have to stream to record it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, somebody asked me if I said I didn't know.
So yeah, and it'll post right up.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll go move the camera when you
Okay. Yeah, right. All right, I guess we'll get started, huh? Patty? Oh, hello there, Bill. Hi. All right, well, welcome. Oh, my goodness. The Bills aren't playing today, obviously, huh? So we're going to do a little tour. We're going to do some, a little history first, okay? The parish was founded in 1850 by German farmers. It was originally part of St. John the Baptist, you know where that is, down Englewood Avenue there in Kenmore near Colvin. It was part of that, this was part of that parish, but the German farmers broke off and they formed their own parish. Can you hear me, Richard, can you hear me? Watch it. Huh? Okay, can you hear Doc? Oh, okay, so they broke off and they founded a parish here, and it had different names. This was called North Plains, it was called University Heights, and it was dedicated to St. Joseph. The first parish, we don't have pictures of it, but drawings of it. It was a wooden church, looks like Little House on the Prairie, huh? And the school was built at the same time, and the classes were taught in German by the man who was also the organist, I think, whatever kind of little organ they had. And then around the 1880s, they built a red brick church. And we have, you know what, Patty? Where's Patty? Patty? If you go in the rectory, right in the very first room on the wall is a picture of that red brick church. Could you bring, it's a real funky looking building. This is a picture of the outside, but we have some pictures of the inside too. And it was really a very unusual building. And they used that building from about 1880 till about 1923, when they tore it down. It was on this site. They tore it down to build this church. And this church was designed by an architect named Dwayne Lyman, who's a very famous Buffalo architect. And it was dedicated in 1925. It took about 2 years to build. And Dwayne Lyman, his style was called English Neo-Gothic. And he has a couple famous buildings in Buffalo. If you go down Delaware Avenue, there's just past Utica, if you're going downtown, there's a building called the Saturn Club. And if you go in the Saturn Club, I've been there for wedding receptions, the arches are the same, the oak doors are the same. In fact, in the front vestibule, there's a frieze around the top there, like a cornice, and it's the same that they have in their main dining room. And then behind Canisius High School on East Ferry, there's a building called 800 West Ferry. It's a high-rise, and Dwayne Lyman designed that building too. And so he was a very famous Buffalo architect. And the windows, when the building was built in 1925, he was a purist. And so English Neo-Gothic buildings would not have stained glass. See in the vestibule there, if you look at the vestibule, see those windows above the doors, the translucent glass, they're kind of yellowish. that's how all of these windows would have looked like. So this building would have been very, very, very bright because that was the style of windows. But in the 1930s, everybody wanted stained glass. So they opted to put stained glass into the church, and they put these beautiful windows in. And we're supposed to only be talking about St. Joseph today, but I will just give you just a couple little things. This window here is about the Eucharist. In the center, you can see angels with the monstrance, and to the upper left, it's Melchizedek, who's the king. Abraham is meeting Melchizedek, the king. On the right, Moses is getting manna from heaven. On the lower left, it's the Last Supper, and on the lower right, it's the disciples at Emmaus on Easter night. And the windows over here on this side are based on the crucifixion. So the cross is in the middle. On the upper left, it's Moses with the snake saving the Israelites. It's Abraham substituting the lamb for Isaac in the sacrifice. Lower left is the crucifixion, and lower right is the Garden of Eden. And these two windows, this one has something to do with Adam and Eve, the creation of Adam. It's the fall, it's after the sin in the Garden of Eden. And over here, it's the prophet Haggai and an image of the building of the New Jerusalem. But it's also a model for the building of the church. I mean, not the construction of the building, but it's an analogy, it's a metaphor. And then the windows going down here, they relate across the aisle. So, for example, this is Jesus coming into Jerusalem. No, these first two do not relate. It's Jesus multiplying the bread, Jesus riding the donkey into Jerusalem. It's the Annunciation. No, it's the Nativity, the Annunciation to the angels, the presentation in the temple, the teaching of Jesus in the temple. I think it's the death of Mary. No, it's the crucifixion, the resurrection, the death of Mary, and Mary being queen of heaven. And then the last two are Moses giving the law and Jesus giving the new law. And the one up in the choir loft is one of my favorites. It's the story of the rich man who Jesus says, give everything up and follow me. And if you see it, he's holding his purse and turning away. He's got his purse on his hip. Now, what I'd like you to do is, there are 3 windows where St. Joseph is found in these windows. St. Joseph is 3 times. Take a look and see if you can find the 3 windows that he's in. You can walk around and see if you can see the windows where St. Joseph is. Sometimes he's very small. Did you find it?
Is everything down because of wasn't it in like the room when you walk right in?
Yeah.
There's nothing on the walls, so everything's down.
Oh.
I looked in the.
Oh, I don't know where it is. Okay, never mind. Okay.
There is a picture of in the Parish Center with the brick church.
Oh, that's the one. We must have moved it.
Okay, I'll go get it.
Okay, we must have moved it. Don't take too long, but just take a look, see if you can find him 3 times. Don't trip on any wires, please. Be very careful. We're lucky we got sun on one side of the building today. Huh? For St. Joseph, he's in 3 of the windows.
Not hidden, but he's.
Well, one of them is all you can see basically is the top of his forehead and his hat. So it's obviously it's this one here where it's the birth of Jesus, and he's right in the center panel above Mary, right? See him? He's got a halo. The shepherds and the shepherds don't have halos, huh? And then this 3rd window down here is Jesus teaching in the temple, and in the middle panel, see where Jesus is? Well, right to his right, there's Mary, and behind Mary you can see his left eye and his hat. Huh? That's about all we see of Joseph in that window. And yeah, you're right, there he is in that window too. Yes, you guessed right where he was. This one right next to here, this one next to it, the presentation of Jesus in the temple with Simeon holding Jesus. That's not Joseph holding Jesus, that's Simeon. And Joseph is the green halo, exactly, yes, exactly. All right, come on back. Come on.
Where was the third?
Oh, the third one is that one, okay?
Right.
That one, and then Joseph is over here in there, and right next to where Jesus is to the right. See Mary's blue?
Oh, you can see half his face.
You can see his left eye and his hat. That's all right, come on back. These windows are so wonderful. There was some work done on them in the 80s, I think. There was, and this window here, because it always gets the weather, has been worked on at least twice since I'm here. And it's always rather frail, I would say, fragile. We had the, if you were to go down 3 windows here, and the very bottom corner on the right, there's a little triangle. I have binoculars if anybody wants to see later. There's a little triangle, and it said, made by FX Zeitler, Munich, Germany. It's very, very small. I had to close one eye with the binoculars to read it. But FX Zeitler, now, Zeitler's had a production company, a factory in Chicago. So we don't know if they were made in Chicago or they were made in Munich, but they were probably designed in Munich. So again, it's credit to the German farmers that they had German windows put in this church, huh? We had them appraised a few years ago, and they were estimated to be valued at about $2,000 a square foot. So if we ever had to replace them, it would be impossible. I mean, they're just such a treasure. Now, we have had, I think, these 2 windows worked on, because back in the 70s, there was a rash of church windows being broken, you know, with rocks. So they put on plexiglass shields. The problem with the plexiglass shields is sometimes they retain the heat, especially in this window. They retain the moisture, and it loosened the lead. So you'll see in places, if you take a look, you'll see there's sometimes little pieces of white light shining through, huh? And that's the where the lead has loosened and the glass has slipped. So it would probably take several $100,000 to redo these windows here, the upper windows. They're called the clear story windows up at that level. Like I say, these 2 were redone because of weather problems, but we really aren't ready to do that at this point. If somebody wins the lottery, I bought my ticket for Friday, we could do it. I didn't win this Friday, but it would be a big, big, big ticket item. The little windows, just a last note, the little windows along the bottom, there's 7 of them, and they represent the 7 sacraments. Okay, if you look at them, you'll get the image of the 7 sacraments. Okay, now, Patty went to look for the picture, but she couldn't find it. She thinks it may have been moved to the parish center of that second building. So those are the windows. Oh, you found it. Okay, good. What? Oh, good. Oh, great. Oh, these murals. Okay, great. Thank you. Oh, yeah. So this is you can see this later. This is this was the second building. And the rectory, okay, thank you, Vanna. And the rectory stood next to it on the left. The red brick church. This is the red brick church built about 1880 and taken down in the mid-20s, the mid-1920s. And the rectory stood, I think you can even see a little tower of the university over there on the far left, to the left of it. The university was moved here after the church was founded in 1850. Initially, the big building was the county poorhouse, if you know that. Okay, that was the county poorhouse. So, and then the murals. Let's talk about the murals. The murals, when this building was built, Well, we'll put it on eventually. I'll just talk for a while, and then we'll have people walk around and see them. When the building was built in 1925, all the murals were not put in. The only mural that was put in was the one in the center, above the cross. The other ones were probably put in the 30s. They're of a school called the Nazarene School, which was a 19th century style of painting that was not real popular. And, but it carried over into the 20th century, and it had a lot to do, I'm not an art historian, but it had a lot to do, I think, with the clothing, the style of the clothing and that. And all of these are scenes from Joseph's life. Some of them are in the scriptures. There's roughly about 40 references in the New Testament to St. Joseph. Some of them very explicit, and some of them, they just refer to him as the husband of Mary or something like that, huh? And, okay, so if we were to start, oh, maybe we should, I'll put on some more lights, I think. Maybe we need more lights. I'll be right back. Everybody see it? So you get to see the red brick church. What? Okay. So these are all murals of the life of St. Joseph. And as I say, there are references to them in the scriptures. We have, the first one really would be, they gave me this new laser pen. Okay, the first one, nope, that's wrong. Can you see? Oh, there's the red dot. Follow the red dot. Okay. First one is up there. It's Joseph dreaming. Okay, Joseph dreaming. And the angel gives him the message that he should take Mary as his wife. Okay? We're talking in the second panel, at the very, very, very top. See, Joseph is holding his head like he has a headache, and he's waking up, and the angel is telling him that it's all right to take Mary as his wife. And then the one below that is the birth of Jesus. This is kind of chronological. It's the birth of Jesus. And then here it's Jesus being presented in the temple, like we had in that window, in that third window there with Simeon. That's not Joseph, that's Simeon. Joseph is holding the two doves. See the two doves that Joseph is holding in the cage? Sorry, my hand is shaking here with this light. Okay, where is that? There's the two doves. Joseph's hand headed. Then on this side, okay, so it would be one, the dream, two. Then over here at the top on this side, let's see, where's our red light again? Okay, where's our red light? Oops. Ooh, there we go. There we have the second dream. That's Joseph being told to take Jesus to Egypt. And then here we have the flight to Egypt, where Joseph leading Mary and Jesus on the donkey to Egypt. And then it skips over to here to the presentation in the temple. And then it skips back here to the Jesus teaching in the temple. So they're not quite chronological. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And over here, we have something that's not, and you can't see it, but you'll come up here later. On this side, it's the marriage of Joseph and Mary, their wedding, okay, or their betrothal. And on this side, it's the death of Joseph with Joseph in bed and Jesus and Mary at his bedside, okay? Now, these murals, that mural was put in originally 25, these were put in 35, and then there were other murals that were added on that wall behind Mary and Joseph, on that far wall over there, on that far wall over there, and on the wall behind the tabernacle. And they were really awful. I don't know who they got to paint them, but luckily in 1968, Monsignor Rung was renovating the church to follow Vatican II, and he had thank God he left these, but he had the bad ones taken out, okay? And in 1968, there was a renovation of the church, by a New York architect called Rambush. He was a very famous church architect. 30 years later, they said the church was rambushed, okay? Because it didn't age well. What they did, if some of you were around before 2000, we still had, when I first came here in 91, we still had the church. This was not here. The sanctuary ended right about here where the steps were. Right here, sorry you guys can't see me, but right in the middle, there was a 3,000-pound limestone altar. And over here, there was a limestone pulpit. And then if you went back here, there was the seat where the priest sat. And behind where the priest sat was the Blessed Sacrament. And well, it had brass pillars, and what's over the tabernacle over there was over here. But it was I found it very awkward, because whenever you were saying Mass, you were sitting with your back right to the Blessed Sacrament. I thought it was just really, it made me very uncomfortable. He was looking over my shoulder, yeah. But then in the year 1999, for the 150th anniversary of the parish, we did a fundraiser in 98, and we tried to go back to as close. Oh, the other thing they did was they took all the pews out and had them pickled. So they were gray-green. And there were pews over here and pews over here. I think they faced this way. I think they faced this way, from what I remember. And they were all pickled, and everything was painted gray, completely just gray. No details or anything. It was gray, and there was a blue, kind of a, I don't know.
Rug.
What?
Turquoise blue.
Turquoise blue rug everywhere. In the sanctuary, down the aisles, all the terrazzo was covered with rug. And so in 1999, we had a committee, some architects, some artists, Sister Jeremy, and we tried to go back to as close to the original design as we could. We couldn't restore the high altar, because that had been taken out, or the pulpit, or the communion rail, but excuse me, the terrazzo, we sent all the pews out, I think to North or South Carolina, where they were stained again, and everything came back to as close to the original design as possible, with still the incorporation of the Vatican II, incorporating the people. And that's why we have these chairs here now, rather than pews. Okay? Here's some pictures. Where should we put these?
There's enough that we can just have.
These are, what happened from the time the church was built until 1968, there were more and more things added, accretions, paintings, murals, and it got darker and darker and darker. That's the one thing that this parish was famous for, that the church was so dark. So when Monsignor Rung did the renovation in 1968, it really looked spectacular. Unfortunately, it didn't age well. In 1998, it still looked like 1968, huh? So that's why we went back to the original design as much as we could. Now let me see if there's something else I should tell you about the murals. Oh yes, the most important mural of all is the one in the center, the original one, because that's the one that, as Patty said, has the secret painting of, I was here for about 10 years before somebody pointed this out to me. See where St. Joseph is in the center? Okay, where's this? Okay. St. Joseph is in the center. See his right hand is over a cloud that has the building of our church on it. The church is sitting right under St. Joseph's hand, and he's protecting it, okay? His hand is over the church. And that was original to the building. And the very interesting thing is that the front door of the church is open, welcoming people. So why don't we take a few minutes now and come up, if you're comfortable, there's railings there and there, come up and take a look at the murals, okay? So that's the betrothal, the first dream, the nativity, the second dream, the flight into Egypt, the presentation in the temple, the teaching in the temple, and the death of Joseph. Yes? A cloud, a gold cloud. Isn't that wonderful?
Never would have seen that.
Right there. You had some work done on these.
Yes. In 2003, we had, I think the company was called Evergreen. They had restored Radio City Music Hall. They came in. They were here for about 6 weeks or 2 months, cleaning every inch of these murals. They had what looked like giant Q-tips, and they were cleaning all the smoke, all the incense, all the stuff that had accumulated since 1925. Yes, Bob? It's canvas. It's canvas, yes. And we put it. What's that?
Why are they modeled?
I don't know. I think it's just the style.
Okay.
Yes.
So, like in the mini panel next to the one of St. Joseph, what's the building behind the one angel?
Oh, the building. I don't know what that is. I never noticed that. She's asking, what is the building in this? Let's see. Where is this now? Where's my light here? Okay, come on. No, we just put new batteries in. Oh, there we are. Okay, she's asking, what is this building with the star above it? I don't know what that is. But it's interesting because, see, the angels have different implements for, well, these two have whatever that's called. Somebody has a hammer, I think. A square. Okay, thank you. And then there are angels above with the Pope's tiara, and then they're playing trumpets up there, and the Holy Spirit up there. And this behind the crucifix, that was all just plain brown until we redid the murals when we redid the church, because we took out what had been the tabernacle over there, put it over there, and then that was just a brown wall. So an artist came in and brought the clouds from above down into those panels below. When we restored the murals in 2003, when Evergreen came in and cleaned them, I think it was about a $50,000 job that took that cost then. Would be a lot more now, but it's called the Nazarene style, Nazarene, but not the center one. The center one's a different. I don't think that has a name. I don't know the name of that style.
What about the stars on the ceiling?
Oh,
Is that just a certain trend?
original church had the blue ceiling like this, and it had stars all the way through. Back in 1968, everything was painted gray. So we went back to the blue ceiling, but we couldn't afford to put gold leaf stars all through the church. So we put them just in the sanctuary. Yes, Jay. That would have been maybe one of those side murals. Yeah, side murals. That wasn't here. Yeah. Those were gone by the time I came, yeah. Why don't we go back, and we're going to do a couple more things, and then we're going to look at some contemporary presentation of St. Joseph.
One quick question. Who is that? Maybe you already stated it. Way up to the left of the ark. The halo, the gold.
Where?
Way up in the dark stages.
Oh, peering over the wooden molding? What, yeah.
Oh, those are just angels. Yeah, just
I can see the wings on that one.
yeah. They have all different kinds of musical instruments.
Yeah. Amazing.
Altar.
I don't know. They took it out in '68. I don't know what they did with it. Okay, why don't we go back? I got a couple more things I want you to do.
Put the streamers up. Is there like a rope that comes down? Or do
Yeah, a chain. Yeah, you can come and help us if you want.
I know, I want to see.
Okay, yeah. We're going to do it Good Friday at 8 o'clock. Okay? All right. Couple more things. Huh? The murals, no, we don't know. Yeah, that was a good question about the murals. We don't know who the artist was. Or maybe we have a lot of archives. I've never gone through them. Joanna's gone through a lot of them, but I don't know the name of the artist. Okay, I have a couple things I want to give you. Where are they? Oh, here. This is a little brochure that we've had prepared. A little bit of what do you call it? The chronology on the back, I think, is off a little bit. And this is a favorite poem of mine by, Bob, could you pass these out here? Would you mind? Thank you. By Rilke, German poet. So you're getting a brochure that we did several years ago. We put this little brochure together. Be careful of the chronology on the back, because I don't know how the school could open before the parish was founded. But they always say it opened in 1849. I think it opened in 1850 when the parish was founded. But I don't know, maybe there were some real advanced kids or something back then. And here's the the brick church was dedicated in 1894. I'm sorry, I thought it was in the 1880s. And we did the renovation of the church, and we had the rededication in December of 1999. And Bishop Mansell was here for that. And we had the Dave Brubeck Quartet play for the rededication, which was really nice. They were in town to do a concert with us, and they stayed over till a Sunday night to play for the rededication. So this is a favorite poem of mine by Rilke called Joseph's Suspicion. And the angel, taking some pains, told considerately the man who clenched his fists, "But can't you see in her robe's every fold that she is cool as the Lord's morning mists?" But the other murmured, looking sinister, "What is it that has wrought this change in her?" Then cried the angel to him, "Carpenter, can't you see that God is acting here? Because you planed the planks of your pride, could you really make the Lord God answerable, who unpretentiously from the same wood makes the leaves burst forth, the young buds swell?" He understood that. And then as he raised his frightened glance toward the angel who had gone away, slowly the man drew off his heavy cap. Then in song, he praised. I love this poem because it makes Joseph's situation so human. You know, sometimes when we deal with saints, we make them plaster statues or glass or paintings, and they become lifeless. They become very, very lifeless, huh? We can't identify with them, I don't think, because, well, you know, we make them artificial in a way. You know, their life is perfect. They weren't perfect, huh? They weren't perfect. I want to close today with, and you can stay as long as you want to walk around. But I'd like to. How many people here have watched The Chosen? Anybody watched The Chosen? Okay, have you watched all 3 seasons? How many watched all? Anybody? How many watched The Chosen here? Anybody? Oh no, it's a series. It's 3 seasons. Yeah, Father Greg and I have watched all 3 seasons, and we are just like groupies. I mean, we just can't wait for more to come out. It really has taken the familiar scripture stories and made them so human in a way, so accessible, so you can identify with them. Matthew is a tax collector, but he's also autistic, because he's always into numbers and he's always very fastidious. And Peter can't stand Matthew. He just completely annoys him, everything he does. And Mary Magdalene they're just wonderful characterizations. Well, the 3rd season has 2 scenes that I want to show you today that have to deal with St. Joseph. And I think it's important to do this because, you see, stained glass has been around for centuries. Murals have been around for centuries. If you go to Chartres, the windows of Chartres are so famous. They've been there for, well, not quite 1,000 years, but 800 years. And during World War II, they were taken out and stored so that they wouldn't be destroyed, and then they were put in again, huh? And of course, Chartres was covered with murals that had been painted over. A lot of those medieval cathedrals were. But murals have been around. Statues have been around, paintings have been around, stained glass has been around, and now we're living in a new age where we have new media. And it's up to us, I think, to create with new media. That's like the poem by Rilke. You know, he was a poet, and so he used language to express some ideas about Saint Joseph, ideas that don't come through in a picture, that don't come through in a painting, that don't come through in a statue. He's talking about Joseph's feelings, Joseph's struggles, Joseph's ambivalence about Mary. We hear that in the gospel, you know, that Joseph was unsure about marrying Mary, but it really comes through. So what I'd like to do is show you 2 scenes from the 3rd episode.
I'm gonna turn it on, it's gonna be really loud, remember?
Okay, hold your, watch your, okay.
It's gonna be really loud, cover yours for a second, don't freak out. Head to the wire.
Okay, yeah, if you all want to come over here and find a seat. How you doing? Good. So we're going to see, we got to turn off the lights. We'll let everybody get a seat, and then we're going to turn off the lights so you can see better. Yes? You got to ask.
They have their own service, they have their own channel, you can download the app, you can download it yourself, but then they bought them, so.
No, we're not watching. Father Greg bought the DVDs or the Blu-ray or whatever. You have to talk to Father Greg. He's the techie, okay? But somehow, now this is what he does. What, you know what to do?
Yeah, they have their own app, and then apparently YouTube as well, some of them have been uploaded to YouTube.
But Father Greg somehow gets it on his phone, and then he points his phone at the television, and he says, "I'm casting this to the." I don't know what he's doing. I just go get the popcorn, you know. So what I want to show you is, I think, just a beautiful, 2 beautiful scenes, and these are the way they're played in the 3rd episode of the 3rd season. The first is Jesus with Mary, Jesus as an adult. And what has happened is Jesus has just preached in the synagogue in Nazareth, and they took him to the hill where they were going to throw him off. And then he went through the crowd, and he went to Joseph's tomb, and he prayed at the tomb of his father. And then the next scene is Jesus goes, and he's sitting with Mary in his childhood home, and they're having dinner. And it's very interesting to see Mary. I've never seen Mary depicted with an earring before, And they have this conversation, and the conversation eventually gets around to a box that he asks for, okay? And then I will stop there, so we'll watch this one scene, and then I'll talk a little bit, and we'll go to the second scene. Oh. Okay, keep talking. Pull the string and I talk, okay. Diana's